안녕하세요, 여러분. Welcome back again to lesson 2 this time. So, last lesson we learned how to make sentences and kind of the general sentence structure of Korean. But now it's time to really, get our sentences together by learning some conjugation. So, conjugating, basically what it means is to change the form of, usually today it's going to be verbs, but it could be nouns or adjectives. Change the form, and today we're learning the present tense. Plus, I do want to give you a bit of info about this word, ita, just because I think it's good to know. So, we'll do some notes first, and then I have a group practice session, which is basically just going to be me showing you the answer, but you can do it yourself first and check back on the video later for the answers. Then we'll talk about ita, and then I have a couple things to discuss at the end about our first class, group class together. So, video lesson will be linked at the top here. You should see it by the time I finish editing this lesson. Okay, so whenever I teach anybody conjugations these days, I have a little simplified explanation, I like to call it, that I present to them. So it's kind of like a little step-by-step on, to make it easier for conjugations. So our first step for present tense is to remove the da. Now, if you've been learning Korean for a while, you may have noticed that a lot of words, Korean words or Korean verbs more specifically, end with a da or da at the end. So we have to remove that first. And then we have to look at the last letter. That's after we remove it. So don't count that in. After we remove it, look at the last letter or look at the last vowel. Those two will depend on which formality we're trying to conjugate into, which we'll talk about in a second. And then depending on the last letter or vowel, we'll choose the correct ending. Now, what we need to know is that in Korean there are different politeness or formality levels, because Korean is a very hierarchical culture. So like there's someone that's higher than you and someone that's lower than you, usually depending on the person you're speaking to. For example, your boss, or just in the workplace, someone that has a higher position than you want to speak more formally to them. And if you're speaking to just a child, let's say, you don't have to be so formal. You can be informal, if anything. Or if you're speaking to someone that's the same level as you, or you're the same age, then we want to just be casual with them, polite, casual. Or if it's someone older than you too, we'll be formal once again. So elderly person or just older than you, even sometimes 1 year older or a few months older. Some people take it very seriously and they'll get offended if you don't treat them as older, but not everyone is like that. So depending on the person you're talking to, you have to ask them how they want to be talked to, basically. So all that to say, depending on the person you're speaking to or the situation that you're in, you're going to use a different politeness or formality level ending. So here we have the big three: formal, casual / polite, and informal. So we're going to start with casual first, actually, because it is, I would say, the most tricky. So formal, let's read through these. Formal, 씁니다, 비읍니다. Casual, polite, 아요, 어요, 해요. Informal, 아, 어, 해. Now we're going to start with casual / polite, and sometimes I'll refer to it as just casual, and I just put both of these words here so that you know they both mean the same thing. So step one, like before, we remove the da. Here I have an example: 보다, to see, to look, to watch. So first step, we're going to remove the da, and we have 보 by itself. Now for this level, the casual polite level, we have to look at the last vowel, but that's not going to be for every one that we look at today, so just make sure. So this one, we look at the last vowel. The last vowel here happens to be the last letter, so that's good for us. The last vowel is o. So then we need to know this rule. If the last vowel is a or o, we have to attach ayo to the verb stem. And yes, I almost forgot to mention, when you remove the da, after it's removed, this is called the verb stem. So the verb stem, we must attach ayo. So 보 plus ayo, 보아요, 보아요. And that is a little bit awkward. Technically correct, but a little bit awkward. It needs to be contracted down or condensed down a little bit. And if you say those two letters back to back fast, you can kind of hear why. Korean people speak fast, so keep that in mind. 오와, 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 보아, 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 보아요, 보아요. I watch. I'm watching. I see. see, I'm looking, all of those. So that's our first rule. If the last letter or the last vowel, is a or o, we attach ayo. But if the last vowel is not a or o, so if it's anything else, any other vowel, we have to attach oyo to the verb stem. So let's give an example. Mokta. This word means to eat. So that's our dictionary form. Before we conjugate it, dictionary form. Then we want to take the da off, get our verb stem. Verb stem is mok. Now we're looking, what is our last vowel? It's going to be that o. Sorry. It's going to be that o that's there. Not the G/K, not the gyuk, but the o. That's our vowel. Gyuk is a consonant. The last vowel is o, a different one from last time. It's not the o that's on the ground. So that means we need to attach oyo to this one. Mo plus oyo. We put it together. Mogoyo, mogoyo. So this means I eat or I'm eating. And you can tell with the pronunciation, this is how it's going to be pronounced. Mogoyo, mogoyo. That's because we take that bottom K sound or that bottom G/K and we take that over. We don't just say mogoyo. We have to connect them. We want to bring the G/K sound over. Mogoyo. Now, we got some more examples here. Okay. So first, we're starting with hada. So this, if you noticed earlier, it was ayo, oyo, and heyo. So this is actually what that last one was, hada, but it has a special form. When conjugating it casually or informally, it has a special form. So it's not going to become haayo, that's wrong. It's going to become heyo. I don't know why exactly, but it just has a special form. So just remember, whenever you see a verb ending with hada, it has to have a special form here, heyo and he. So I didn't talk about this before, but I'll bring it up now. So when we're conjugating informally, it's the exact same rules that we just looked at, but we have to remove the yo at the end of the casual. So mogoyo, to be informal, it would become mogo, mogoyo, casual, mogo, informal. And same thing goes for boyo, boa, informal, boyo, casual, boa, informal, boyo, casual. Okay, next verb we have is ipta, to wear or to put on. So ip, we take off the da first, and then our last vowel is e. According to our rules, it's not a or o, right? So we don't have to attach ayo. It's not those, so that means we need oyo instead. Ib plus oyo, iboyo. Pronounced as iboyo, not iboyo, because we want to connect the sounds. Let me change this one. So informally, we just remove that yo at the end, and it becomes ibo. I wear. I'm wearing. So I could say duresu ibo. I'm wearing a dress. I wear a dress. Next one, 살다, to live. 살다. So first, we remove the da, right? We have 살. From there, we gotta look at the last vowel. Last vowel is a, not the last letter. Last letter is the rir, that L, right? But this time, we're looking at the last vowel. So the last vowel is a. That means it follows our rule. If the last vowel is a, o, we need ayo ending. 살 plus ayo, 살아요. And then informal, we remove that yo, 살아. Okay? Then we have 배우다. 배우다 means to learn. So first remove the da. Our last vowel is what? It is u, the u, u. So that is not a or o, meaning we need to use the oyo ending. So 배우 오요. If you're saying that might look a little bit off to you. That's because it is. So we actually, in this situation, we can't have we can't have two vowels right next to each other. So that u and that o, we can't have those two right next to each other. So if we say it quickly, we can kind of figure out what it should become. U o, wo, 배워요. I'm learning. So I can say Korean, 한국어, Korean, 배워요. 한국어, 배워요. And then informal, we take off the yo, 배워. Okay, these, I wanted to write these out. So, 가다, take off the da first, so we get the verb stem by itself. Now, last letter is also our last vowel, a. So that means we need the ayo ending, 가아요. That's a little bit weird, right? Two a right next to each other. Once again, we have two vowels right next to each other, so we need to condense it down. We only need one. 가요. I go, I'm going. 가요. This informal is going to be ka. I go, I'm going. So So the meaning never changes, just the feeling changes because it's less, the formality different. Ka versus kayo, okay? Mashida, to drink. Mashida. So take off the da. What's our last vowel? E, right? So we need which ending? Oyo. We need oyo ending. Mashi oyo. Once again, two vowels right next to each other, right? E and o. So could you try and guess what it should become? Iyo, 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 yo. Mashayo, mashayo. I'm drinking. I drink. So we can say juice. I drink juice. Juice mashayo. Or coffee. Coffee. Kopi, kopi, mashayo. And what would it be informally? Masho, masho. I drink. I'm drinking. Same meaning. Different feeling. Okay, this is one of those hada verbs I was referring to before. So it ends with hada. Ir hada, to work. So we don't have to think of it as like before, like take off the da. The last letter is a, so we should add ayo, which is not true because I told you before, hada has a special form. So it becomes heyo. Ir heyo. Ir heyo. I work. I'm working. And then informally, ir he. Ir he. I work. I'm working. Yo gives the word the feeling of that politeness, but it doesn't change the meaning as I said before. Now we can quickly look through the formal. So formal is much easier than the last one. That's why I started with casual first. So formal, we're going to start with the same verb as before, to see or to watch. 보다. We remove the da. We get the verb stand by itself. 보. This time we look at the last letter, see, so it's slightly different, less letter. So this time it's the same as before. The last letter is O, right? But we have to look at these rules. So if the last letter is a consonant, we have to attach 씁니다 to the verb stem. If the last letter is a vowel, we have to attach this be plus nida, 힘니다, 힘니다 to the verb stem. This one is not supposed to be easy to say, by the way, because it's meant to be attached to something else, so it's hard to say it on its own. But so 보다 ends with an o, that's a vowel, right? So we need the 피입니다 ending. 보 plus 피입니다, it becomes 봅니다, 봅니다. And that pronunciation is meant to be smooth. That's why I've written it out right there. 봅니다. It's kind of like an M sound. It becomes smooth, not 봅니다. We don't want to say that. And it means I look, I see, I watch, I'm watching, all the same things as before. Now, I have in the document a chart for you to fill out. You could write on the document, but please don't do that because other people will see that too, and we don't want to give the answers away to them. But I will show the answers in this video, so pause it here, go to the document, and fill out these few that we have here. Conjugate them in each formality level, and you can go back. I encourage you to go back and look at the rules as you do it. So don't try to be, like, I'm not going to look at the rules because you just told us I'm just going to pull it from my memory. You don't need to do that. Looking at the rules and then conjugating it is what helps you learn it. Actually, I would prefer if you look at the rule and then conjugate in each formality level. And there's one thing I forgot to mention with the formal. This is only for the formal, by the way. When a verb ends with this L or R, rir, we have to remove that before we conjugate. So 살다, for example, we're not only going to remove the da, we're going to remove that rir too. So then we just have sa, and we conjugate as normal. So our last our last letter is a, which is a vowel. So we need 피입니다 ending, and it becomes 삽니다. And you can see with the other two, they're conjugated. They keep the L as normal. This is a rule that's only for formal. Okay, and now 있다. Let's talk a little bit about that. So 있다 is a verb. It's actually hard to call this a verb. Verb, sometimes considered an adjective, but I'll say it's a verb. So it means two things. It can mean to be in a location. I am at home, I'm at work, I'm at school, or to have something. I have a phone, I have a coffee, I have a friend. And you can use it, right? It only has the meaning of to be when you're referring to locations. In English, to be is like is, am, are, they are. Here, I am there. You are here. You know, she is here. That type of thing. Is, am, are at a location. What we're going to learn later is about this particle. So these particles are attached directly to the nouns they refer to. It's only going to be attached to a location or the place. So jib. So you might have noticed in the first lesson we were making sentences, or a lot of sentences, they didn't have in or at. We left those out. This means at, in, to, it can mean on, basically all of those things. So I'm at home. 집에 있어요. 집에 있습니다. 집에 있어. 학교에 있어요. 학교에 있습니다. 학교에 있어. I'm at school, right? You don't have to remember this or try to really hard to learn this particle, is what this is called. You have to try really hard to learn this right now, because we are going to have a separate lesson on that later. But I'm just bringing it up now because when I give you the independent study test, the little listening and reading, it might have something like this in there. So I don't want you to be confused. Now, for the meaning of to have, it can also be translated as is. And I have one example for this. So Anna is our subject. 커피 있어요. Anna, 커피 있어요. Anna has a coffee. I can say 저 주스 있어요. I have a juice. I can say 진 친구. 친구 means friend. 저 or 진 친구 있어요. Jin has friends, or Jin has a friend. So this is another good thing to know. In Korean, they don't really have plurals like this. So we don't need to add anything. We can just assume friends. It could be friends or it could be one friend. Another thing Korean doesn't have is this. Korean doesn't have a, an, or the. So it may seem different from English, but we don't need to worry about adding a, and, the, because it doesn't exist in this language. So literally we're saying Jin friend has. Jin has friend. Basically like that. Okay, that's it for this lesson today. Hopefully it wasn't too confusing, and I hope I can get this lesson sent soon enough. 다음에 만나요. See you next time.